5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be enrolled. And this was the first enrollment when Quirinius was governor of Syria. And all went to be enrolled, each to his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the city of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be enrolled with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. And while they were there, the time came for her to be delivered. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Welcome to the 40th. How many have been to all 40? I have, as my family. I wanted to read the Christmas story the old way. I know the new way is more accurate. but I think this is such a beautiful version. And even though the new way is more accurate, it just doesn't have that beauty of language that I think this has. There's seats around here. Please come in, because it's a long time to stay. And with this new setup, I have to keep turning around so that the glare doesn't get it in the back. We'll move right along, and I'll try to keep this thing off so it doesn't sound too much.
The last two are old favorites, as many of these are. I do worry about what's going to happen with the wonderful hymns and carols that we have. You know, about half of them in this little pamphlet aren't in the book anymore. So when I'm gone, one of the way you can say thank you over the years is to make sure you get some of these back in the book. I remember the 25th anniversary of our church. We put together a little booklet, and some of the good old hymns and carols we had, mainly hymns, we put together. I remember that so well because Skip Goodmanson was afraid we'd get sued, but we didn't. And so anyway, let's keep these going. This last one is where the music is from the 13th century, and the words were put together to the music in 1601. And it was called in Dulce Jubilo. Some of you in the choir know that. And that means sweetest shouting. So that's a good word for that hymn. So we'll move on. And I'll shut this off, John.
Every soul and mark that we
just a word on pronunciation. This is the good old Scandinavian part. And the first one, of course, is Swedish because I have to go with my heritage first. När juldagsmorgon glimmer, jag vill till stallet gå, där Gud I nattens timmer en vilar upp på strå. To translate that is when Christmas morn is beaming or dawning, the first glimmers of that, I want to go to the stable. There God in the evening or the night hours on sweet rest upon the straw, and that's for us old timers. We always at home we used to sing that in Swedish, along with Glada Julafton. Remember when I used to make you sing Glada Julafton? It was awful. Well, I play it now if you're upstairs. I won't make you sing that. It is a wonderful piece, and I don't know the Danish, but I do know the Norwegian, and I know enough Swedish, and they're enough alike. And so in the last verse of I Am So Glad, Jag är så glad för julekväll, till dag blev Jesus född. Då lyste stjärna som en sol, och änglar sång så söt. And that means I'm so happy every Christmas, I guess it's Christmas Eve, and this is when the day when Jesus became born, and then shines the star like a sun, and the angels sang so sweetly. So those are the translations. I'll get this shut off again.
I know.
I think the sadness is not only to lose the music, but the text. If you look at the text of what we just sang, and for example, the third verse, we need thee, blessed Jesus. Forbid that we by sinning should grieve thy loving heart. I think it's a shame that those are lost. I'll tell a joke on myself. When the red book, the Cranberry book, was put out, early version, and I've written about 6 letters to Higgins Road, didn't do much good, but this one, and I wrote to them, I said, you've left out the Danish hymn, the bells of Christmas, and how the Danes will really be upset with you. So they put it in, and then they left out when Christmas morn is dawning, instead. So the Swedes lost out on that one. And you can tell there are Norwegians on the committee because they had I Am So Glad all right off the start. But the texts are important, and we always, one of your favorites and one of mine is number 9, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. I've told this story before, but it was Henry Wadsworth Longfellow who wrote this during the Civil War. His son was wounded, his wife had died in a fire, and so he was the parent, and his son was wounded in the Civil War, and he went down and got him and brought him home. And on Christmas Day he heard the bells and he wrote this song. So we'll sing that, and I'll shut this off. Gene, does this remind you of what And she wrote this poem, and actually she never heard the music because Gustav Holst composed the music for this 12 years after she died. She apparently was a wonderful woman and wrote a number of Christian poems. And I do, at this point, usually like to at least acknowledge my family that's here. This particular hymn is one of their favorites, as well as a few others. And we have almost all of my family here. We're missing 2 out of 16, is it? Plus some in-laws. In-laws. And I want to acknowledge that. And I want to say a word today about Joanna, who's long-suffering because I've been your church organist for almost 30 years. And they do pay, the spouses do pay a price. And I'm missing a lot of vacations in the summer and time at the lake. And Christmas at our house is really busy, starting about Thanksgiving. I'm over here most of the time. And there's a lot to get ready for, and it's my spouse who makes up the difference. So I want to acknowledge that. I'm sure the pastor's wife and David Clark's wife and a few others say the same thing. Well, then we get into something that I thought of, maybe I should omit, but you have to sing this one for me. And this is All Hail to Thee, O Blessed Morn, which in the Swedish church is what ushers in Christmas right at midnight on Christmas Eve. And this is a wonderful hymn, and this year, as with last year, we're going to do it on Christmas Eve as close to midnight as possible. And I'll also be singing it on Christmas morning. And I do want to, again, push that service. I know that people are busy on Christmas Day, but really this is what it's all about. And it's a wonderful service, and I hope that lots of you will come. Now, I want to just also say, when on our Hälsningarna Morgenstund is the Swedish All Hail to Thee, notice that we repeat the first 2 lines, and we'll do verses 1 and 3. I can't leave out 3. It's a beautiful text, as all these are. So we'll sing that, and then we'll go right into the rocking carol, which you like. Because I said so.
Sing
So you notice down below, then there are more text, and then you just come back to it on Christmas Day. So to make this a little more interesting, we'll do the first 3 verses as printed, and then we'll have the men sing verse 4. So in other words, when they say, pray with her, sail those ships, all 3 on Christmas Day, you get it. Then the women will be verse 5, then men verse 6, and women verse 7, or verse 6. No, 7. Men, women, men. And then we slow down with everybody at the last verse, okay? All right. Did I get wrong?
I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. And what was in those ships, all 3 on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And what was in those ships, all 3 on Christmas Day in the morning? Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Our Savior Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Pray with her, sail those ships, all 3 on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Pray with her, sail those ships, all 3 on Christmas Day in the morning.
Oh, they sail into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And they sail into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning.
And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day in the morning.
And all the angels then shall sing on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the angels then shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning.
And all the souls on earth shall sing on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the souls on earth shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning. And let us all rejoice on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And let us all rejoice on Christmas Day in the morning. Very gentle, and let nothing you dismay. to certain shepherds brought tidings of the same, that there was born in Bethlehem the Son of God by name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
We added that one this year, and I shouldn't say we. I want to take this opportunity to thank the church staff. I see a lady sitting there who's blushing. Her face is the same as her skirt. But I think a lot of you realize, because you volunteer a lot, but the church staff has really had a tough year. And I think because of illnesses that can't be helped. But they have really gone, they're always wonderful, but they really have gone overboard this year. I didn't want to make many changes, and Joanna said just leave it, because these people have been so busy and so under duress. And so we added this one, and that was the only one that's a lot different from before, I think. But I do want to acknowledge the importance, and particularly the people in the staff that have kept things going, the church, the office people, the administrative assistants are what we call them now. We used to call them secretaries. And the other group, the custodians, are wonderful. They're here, and they do so much for us. A lot of you know that, but some of you don't. And I do want to thank them all publicly. On behalf of all of you, I won't make them stand up and be embarrassed, but they are wonderful, and we're so blessed to have them. Along with a wonderful pastoral staff, and my boss, David Clark. I don't even think he's here. He's probably resting. Oh, there he is. I didn't see the shine. Right? You know, I always obey everything he tells me to do. Right? All right. Now, we'll move on. And one of my favorite hymns, the favorite hymn in my family, one we had upstairs at my request this morning at the closing hymn, of the Father's Love Begotten. It comes from the 4th century. These are the wonderful hymns we have to hang on to. And the basis of that is the Gospel according to John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. And we have beheld His glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father. John 1, verse 1 and verse 14. And we'll go on with Ding Dong Merrily. When I was playing these last night, that's another one I realized was too high, so I'll put that down for you. And we'll go on to Infant, Holy, Infant, Low.
singing. Hosanna in excelsis. Hosanna in excelsis. Kingdom carries armies and the bells are ringing. Kingdom heralds Gloria. Hosanna in excelsis. Gloria. Hosanna in excelsis. Infant lowly, for his bed a cattle song. Awesome knowing, little knowing, Christ the child is Lord of all. Swiftly fleeing, angels singing, bells are ringing, tidings bringing. Christ the child is Lord of all. Christ the child is Lord of all.
Oh, sure. Let's do it right now.
For his bed a cattle song. Awesome knowing, little knowing, Christ the child is Lord of all. Swiftly ringing, angels singing, bells are ringing, tidings bringing. Christ the child is Lord of all. Christ the child is Lord of all. Pastors singing, shepherds keeping, vigil till the morning dew. Saw the glory, heard the story, tidings of the gospel true. Thus rejoicing, free from sorrow, praises voicing, great tomorrow. Christ the child was born for you. Christ the child was born for you.
That's known as a senior moment. There's going to be more of them. 81 years, that's beginning to show. And you were so polite, as always, so you kept singing whatever I was playing. The next one is another one, a wonderful hymn. I looked up last night. It hasn't been in the hymn book since the 1925 hymn book. But the text is wonderful. It really is the life of Christ. And Janet asked me if I wanted to change the cover. I want you to look at it. And I said no, because that text is so wonderful, and that's from this hymn. Oh, come to my heart, Lord Jesus, there is room in my heart for thee. And by the way, I was looking through the old file. I'm a saver, as Joanna knows. And just like some of my offspring are savers. And I wanted to show you a copy of the first sing-along in 1973. You want to know what the program looked like? And our dear Pastor Carlson and I carried, that was back in the service book and hymnal, the original red books. And he and I carried them down the back steps. And we had I had 12 carols. Come all ye faithful, angels we have heard on high, low, rose bleak midwinter, near Yule dogs in Swedish. I had Gloria, where are you? Gloria and Trudy sang duet. And then I would tease them the next few years, and I'd tell them that they'd call and want to sing. I remember I said, I knew it was you because I heard Wally snoring. And then we sang I Am So Glad, because I don't dare offend the Norwegians in this group. And then we sang the original Luther Cradle hymn, or Christmas hymn, Vom Himmel from heaven above to earth I come. And so we had that, and Of the Father's Love, and Dulce Jubilo, Away in the Manger, Once in Royal, Away in the Manger, Silent Night. So that was it, but I just had people flipping pages, and this is how this all got started, as they say. So let's, yes. Uh-oh. Now what are you going to do?
For those of you that don't know me, I'm John. This is my dad. He did have another senior moment earlier. He introduced the family. Those of you that may remember, 25 years ago, I held up Craig with one hand because everybody wanted to see him. And he's now, I'll do that again. If you'll get 911 dialed into your phones. But also this summer, he married a wonderful woman, Sarah. And so we welcome her to the family also.
And I meant to say that when I introduced, now I have 2 granddaughters-in-law here, so that's, as the family enlarges, and that's wonderful. So thank you for bringing that oversight to the attention of the rest of us. All right, now just leave thy throne. That off. And we'll sing a few more. All right.
Holiness.
need to keep an eye on time. So I'm going to be organizing most of the rest of these anyway in church. And I think I should move along so that we're done now in a few minutes. I do want to do Away in a Manger. I remember when speaking of our grandkids, I remember when I played a different version that is now in the hymn book, and Scott said afterwards, "Grandpa, don't you know how to play Away in a Manger?" So we'll sing Away in a Manger. We are going to do Angels We Have Heard on High at every Christmas service. So we'll do Away in a Manger, Will Come All You Faithful and Silent Night. And I do want to thank you for coming, and I want to tell you what a privilege it is and a blessing for me to be the organist at this church. And I suppose that for 30 years, pushing 30 years is long enough, but I love it. I love coming over here to practice, and I'm richly blessed by the opportunity to play our worship service. So I'll tell you right now, thank you.